Testing. Can anyone hear me? Are we good here? Hopefully no one can hear the TV right now. And I just lost the little pop filter to my mic. 1 second, y'all. Crap. Where did this thing go? Crap. Only kidding when I said I was going to replace you. And I have no idea where you are. Alright, cool. Good to see you, by the way, Justin. I see that you're lurking. Appreciate you jumping in. Hopefully I don't have to resort to the sock method here, but if that's what I gotta do, then so be it. I'm only gonna look for like maybe another minute. There's only so many places this thing could have gone. I'm trying to make sure you guys don't hear the TV either, because I'm still, of course, watching a little bit of football. Found it. There we go. Okay. Hopefully the camera angle is decent. The base to my webcam broke and it was clasped onto the top of my computer, so this is how you know I had a tough workout. My daggone hat isn't even situated properly, but here we go. We're here. Not the best angle, but it'll do. And hello to everybody who has tuned in here. We find ourselves in quite a situation with this beast right here in Melissa. It's funny that I've been saying it all year. If anything were to form out into the Caribbean, like this would end up doing, there could be some serious consequences. The waters over here are extremely warm, and unfortunately, to go along with it, we get a double whammy in this storm's forward motion, which is insanely slow. This thing's moving at about 3 miles an hour. So they're already receiving impacts over here in Jamaica. I'm actually trying to pull up a webcam so that way you can get a perspective as to what's going on there. Because we'll probably be streaming this on and off over the course of the next couple of days. I mean, this could have historic impacts over there towards the region, unfortunately. I actually am very concerned about the threat of flooding here. Of course, the high winds are going to be a huge issue. But moreover, the storm surge and the flooding, I think, are going to be the worst parts of this by far. If I'm also if we're lagging here, just feel free to let me know so I can see if I can adjust anything on there. The computer has been acting a little bit strange here. I'm going to try to finesse it as best as I can. Can I get one camera? Just one. Okay. I do have something to work with here, I think. No, I guess not. Perhaps I don't. Arg. Well, no webcams for now. I guess it'll just have to be a regular discussion. Oh wow, we are dropping frames at like it's nobody's business right now. Okay, let's try and get this done before we end up completely losing this stream. Because it's pretty clear that my computer is not behaving tonight. Okay, let's go ahead and switch this over. And we'll do this. Because we also are covering severe weather here. There's not really a whole lot going on, which is something to be thankful for. We're going to keep weather-wise up here in the corner, though, so we can kind of keep a watch on everything. So there's Melissa right there. We're actually going to shift our attention briefly over to the U.S., where there's not really a whole lot going on, thankfully. I think the worst of our storm threat might have already passed through at this point. There may be a couple of odd cells that pop up here with tornado potential. There still is a 5% tornado threat as we get late into the evening. If the computer's working and if people are willing to watch, then I may jump in, but I'm noticing that this area is getting smaller. Hello. Is that you, Renita? See, you changed your name. I think that's you. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, definitely looking a little bit on the shabby side there. But this is a basic rundown of Melissa right now, too, while we're at it. Here's Melissa. Which one would y'all want me to go over first? Severe threat, or would you want me to go over Melissa? Because I'm cool with doing either or first. So anytime I seem to go to another screen here is when this thing starts to act out. There's something up with my Wi-Fi signal or what? Nice, nice, nice. Okay, let me see. Okay, I figured out what the problem is. I had Twitter open and I think that was what slowed me down. Alright, let's try this. This should be a little bit more stable now, I hope. Yeah, that's much better. Nah, she's still struggling with for me a little bit, but she's not as bad. There we are. Okay. Guess I'll go severe weather first. It'll be quick. It's perfect. We literally just got the 0ZN too. Couldn't have asked for better timing, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so main threat is of course tonight, so it wouldn't have mattered really. But let's just do a quick little rundown here. So regular trough here, nothing super amped or anything like that. We have some remnant shower and thunderstorm activity from really yesterday. And over here, we're going to probably have our best chance for a couple odd severe storms. Really think the storms that'll be offshore that'll make landfall might have the best potential of producing tornadoes. But again, it looks like that ramps up late into the evening, into the nighttime, and maybe even overnight hours. So we'll go forward. And how are you doing, G-Bro? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, by the way. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be mostly an early morning threat. And then from that point, this trough further deteriorates, and it just kind of keeps the threat of showers of severe weather down. Just going to be more along the lines like remnant showers and thunderstorms, which will be good for this region, honestly, because we're in a bit of a drought right now over towards the deep south. And then, of course, right around Halloween week, we're going to be dealing with a pretty big cool down over there. So going to the low-level jet, and this is probably one of the biggest parameters I'm most interested in for tonight. I think that's what's going to be either the biggest contributing factor to this storm system, or it's going to pretty much result in absolutely nothing. And again, it's kind of backing what I thought it would be. Really, these regions over here towards the coastline is going to be the point of interest. A lot of these areas also, until we get further over towards like eastern Louisiana, we'll have like what more thinner population. It won't be quite as dense as, let's say, over towards like Baton Rouge, New Orleans, those areas. So not as much of a threat there. And as you can see, as we go further along, that low-level jet continues to deteriorate. It isn't until the storm system passes where we see that increase in winds. So these next couple days could be pretty blustery over the deep south. as well. So as this big frontal boundary passes and we end up seeing a big trough that follows up behind it, expect it to be a little windier along with that cooler air coming in. So might be better to err on the side of caution as far as keeping yourself well insulated here. Final look at what our instability is going to be like. I wouldn't expect a whole lot to be available, of course, given the simple fact that during the nighttime we don't usually have a lot to work with. Do see a moderate uptick that happens right between 6 and 7, between 5 and 6Z, but that's about it. And again, it kind of remains offshore. Still would be sufficient enough to get these storms to take off here, but I don't think they're going to be anything long lasting or anything of major significance at this point. And then from that point, instability is pretty much gone. So nothing to really be concerned with after tonight, which is great news. And then from there, we'll go ahead and take a look at what our radar could look like, and then that's going to really do it for the severe weather side of things. From that point, we're going to be paying more attention to, of course, the elephant in the room, which is Melissa, unfortunately. Now, let's go ahead and make sure we got our time frame right here. And here is the general outlook as to why there's still a tornado threat left over, even though it's going to be pretty much right around like 4 or 5 a.m. It's really got a lot to do with these cells that form up offshore and end up merging with this main MCS here. The amount of instability that's still available is going to allow these storms to continue to fire, and with these mergers we could get a slight increase in wind shear along with a low level jet that's capable, and there is the tornado threat, and just as quickly as it ramps up it goes away even faster, and our rain chances start to kind of drop off from that point. We still have more opportunities for rain, but nothing of major significance in regards to severe weather. But at this point, a lot of us here in the deep south, we would welcome that rain. We'll have that other storm system right behind it. We'll be keeping an eye out for winter precip, but I don't think there's going to be enough cold air mixing in this time around for it to be anything of major importance to talk about right now. If things change, of course, we'll go over that. Oof, that workout did something to me there. Okay. So now, I guess we'll go over Melissa. So, this is honestly, I would say, almost a nightmare-esque scenario. The worst case scenario would be a major hurricane just like this that's moving at a snail's pace, like 3 miles an hour, like this, for example, 3 miles an hour, over an island nation where it's going to have more than ample time to strengthen over the water. And this water is ridiculously warm. I'm going to show you guys that really quickly. The sea surface temperatures around the Caribbean are unreal. It's honestly ridiculous, if I were to say so myself. This is right over towards where Melissa is. 30 degrees Celsius temperatures. So if you multiply that number by 3, that's how you get your Fahrenheit temperature. It's not an exact number, but it's a ballpark number. So you're talking almost 90-degree sea surface temperatures, when it takes usually about 80 to get a tropical system to form and flourish quickly. Once you get to 85, 90 degrees, that's when you start thinking about the possibilities of rapid intensification coming into play. Of course, there are other parameters that go into that, like wind shear, etc. But when you get something like this, that's the first sign of trouble. If we were to go further along here, take a look at some forecast models, what you'll notice is the wind shear around Melissa, which honestly kept the storm weaker to start out with, pretty much subsides at this point. I'm trying to make sure I got the right model for this. I'm probably going to have to look at the parent models, which I'm not the biggest fan of looking at, but it is what it is. But if we were to go about 72 hours earlier, look at how the wind shear was starting to affect it. And if we go to current time, look now. Look how the wind shear is relatively light, and we have that increase in strength beginning to occur, especially as we continue to go forward from here. It's unfortunate that we have Jamaica in this spot, so it's going to be right in the line of fire, unfortunately. But again, with the storm moving at such a slow pace, I think that's going to be the biggest concern by far. The amount of moisture that we're going to end up seeing is going to be unreal. Like if we were to look at the totals by the time all is said and done, you can see that basically entire island nation is maxed out here. This goes up to about 24 inches of accumulated precip here. So this is what makes it to the ground here. So the biggest concern with this, of course, is flash flooding. It's just, again, it's a nightmare scenario. Now, obviously, since we're not in the U.S., we aren't able to get quite as much in the way of intimate data. We can honestly, again, kind of drive home the point of rainfall potential. But, again, there's some areas over here, especially over towards the western half of the nation, that could see possibly even up to 40 inches of rain. Again, that's an awful situation, especially considering that there are mountains in Jamaica, so there's going to be places where it's locally even higher than that, possibly. But widespread 10 to 20 inches of rain, easily expected. Areas where it could be higher than 30 or 40 plus, even for areas like Turks, Caicos, even Cuba, definitely within the realm of possibility at this point. So, again, it's going to be something we're probably going to cover here because this potentially could be historic, unfortunately. This is one of those things where I'm a little bit conflicted with covering these. Now, obviously, Jamaica being its own nation, we can't get a great idea of what the storm surge is going to be like, but considering the fact that we're going to have a major hurricane with incredibly strong winds and extended duration of those winds, I expect inundation could easily be somewhere between 10 to 15 feet, maybe even some pockets where we could get 20 plus. I mean, nothing really can be ruled out at this point. From what I've heard from the few reports that I have gotten there's already been a significant amount of flooding that's already occurred, mainly over towards Haiti for now, but we're going to start to see that beginning to occur, unfortunately, in Jamaica here. So let's look at the arrival time of those tropical storm force winds. They're already, of course, there, but they're only going to continue to ramp up in intensity. I wish they would had a legend for hurricane force winds, even though that wind field at this time is kind of small. But I would say that we would probably see even more beginning to occur as we get towards maybe early Sunday morning, probably hurricane force winds increasing in intensity maybe by late Sunday morning, I would say. So really within the next 12 hours. So things are about to go downhill. They're about to go downhill rather quickly, unfortunately. So hopefully we're seeing a lot of people evacuating if it's possible for them. And for those who can't, I hope they have found a good way to try to ride this thing out, even though I would strongly advise against it. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead now and see what else we can look at here. Really want to try to take a look at the storm surge potential again. Go ahead and look at hurricane wind speed probability here. Why will it stay in where? So it's the upper level winds. You got to have a steering current for storm systems to move in general. And the thing is, from where it is right now, I'm going to try to see if I can pull this up for you too. Oops, clicked the wrong thing. Alright. Let me pull this up here. I don't know if North Atlantic's going to be too wide a view or if it's not going to be wide enough. Okay, Let's try. And here's your answer right here. If you look at the upper level winds here, this is at 200 millibars. This is about maybe 60,000 feet plus that you're talking about here. The winds here are rather light. If this storm, let's say if it was in the Gulf here, for example, this would be moving off to the east. But since the winds here are very light, and then on top of that, the winds towards the lower levels of the atmosphere now have kind of calmed down as well. So if we were to look at our wind shear, notice things are kind of chill here as well. The lighter the color, the weaker the winds. So just really at this point right now, there's nothing to steer it. As it starts to agonizingly move off to the northeast here, it's finally going to get caught by a trough that this same trough that we're dealing with over here in the U.S., and then it's going to make this finally start to move. But right now it's just churning along ever so slightly, and it's just causing a lot of agony right now over towards these islands, unfortunately. But eventually it will start to move, thankfully. It's going to be a while. Alright, so I'm looking at hurricane force winds here. Right, I mean, yeah. It's the same reason why some thunderstorms will move slow. Is if I mean, it really just depends on that upper level environment. That's why it's always important to really look at every level of the atmosphere. I sometimes will try to include it in all my videos, but I mainly try to look at 500, 700, and 850, because those are the ones that are usually most prominent. But if there's a situation like, let's say, for Melissa, for example, with the severe weather outbreak, I will include the 200 or 300 millibar region. And you have to use different ones during different seasons, because sometimes that's more prominent. For example, during the wintertime, I actually would have to use the 300. Okay, so alright, so I'm trying to figure out what I would need to do next here, because I have yet to find a camera in Jamaica at this point in time. Wait, hang on. Might have found something. Yep. Okay, I did find something. I'm trying to find something towards the coast right now. It's almost eerie how calm it is right now. Alright, so I got it. I got something up for you guys. Let me go ahead and pull that up then, shall we? Ah, somebody's got a bonfire going. I gotta make a little adjustment here. Sorry if this looks weird for a couple of seconds, but there we go. So look at what's going on in Negril. You can see the waves coming on in the distance. Like I said, it's surprisingly calm right now. It's eerie almost. But everybody over there knows it. I'm pretty sure they know what's coming, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and switch weather-wise back over to our hurricane here. Another big thing, unfortunately, as I mentioned before, is going to be the intensity. It's going to probably be the last thing we talk about before we end this live discussion here. Because I was thinking there might have been a couple opportunities for storms, so I was prepared to do live coverage, but it looks like it won't be necessary, at least at this time. I don't know if I'll be up late enough for the other stuff to go down, but you never know. We'll see what happens. I did take a nap earlier in the day. So now let's go ahead and take a look at Melissa. We're going to kind of double down here. I would say at this point now that this storm is probably about to make her major hurricane status soon, or it's going to be like right on the cusp of. You can almost kind of see the eye wall beginning to develop. I would love it if those frames would come in. There we go. You can see that eye starting to really come into view here now. So this storm is only going to further strengthen. God, I hate how slow this thing's moving. But the thing with this storm here, as we look at it on satellite, you can see the convection here and these colder cloud tops in the purple. This is showing basically that the storm is only beginning to intensify around that center. And we're going to see more intensity begin to come in a little bit further out from that center of circulation. Because it's the eye wall where we have the strongest of thunderstorms at this point. I'm surprised that you can't even see lightning off in the distance as of right now. So we already pretty much know the forecast with this. This is unfortunately set to hit Jamaica here, as we mentioned before. And the forecast models are painting a very grim picture in regards to its intensity. We're likely going to see a Category 5 potentially within the next 48 hours. Which, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to strengthen all the way into a little deeper into Category 5 range, because they have it as a minimal 5. They have, which is basically 160 miles an hour at one point. But with those waters being so warm, I wouldn't rule out the potential of it maybe going 165 or even 170. It all depends on the vertical structure of the storm. If we have a even circulation like we've been having, oops, wrong website. Thank you, Elaine. Appreciate you. Have a good night. But what was I saying? Dang, I'm getting tired. I'm still tired from the workout. What I was saying was, I wouldn't be surprised if Melissa wouldn't maybe even go all the way up to 165 or 170. It's definitely not out of the cards. Wind shear not really being a factor, waters being as warm as they are. It just seems it just doesn't seem unrealistic to me at all. And I hate the fact that I'm saying that. I genuinely do, because you guys that have watched me for a long time know I'm not one that likes to hype up anything. But we know that the ceiling for this storm is on a ridiculous level. Okay, let me find the spaghetti models here. Because I think after this, I'm probably going to call it a night and get something to eat, because I definitely don't feel 100%. I feel a little bit off kilter. That's for sure. So far, we're still holding with only one spaghetti model pushing it all the way to 5. This is one that I've seen before. So, I mean, there might be still a little bit of uncertainty. It might be just enough wind shear to maybe keep it at a low end 5, but again, I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not going to rule out anything at this point. The rapid intensification could be a little bit slower than expected, which would honestly be a best case scenario. But from that point, though, we'll just have to wait and see. So, I guess we can do some final questions real quick before I go. Again, even if you don't have any questions for me, I want to say thanks for the time. Thanks for your time. I'll probably live stream tomorrow, depending on what's going on with the impacts there. But one day at a time, of course. So, We'll take some questions real quick, if you have any. Yeah, basically, but on a much worse scale, because it's going to be warm water all the way up. That's the nightmare. That's the real nightmare in all of this. It's going to strengthen all the way up to the coastline. Because imagine getting what you got with Helene, but then you add in 160 mile per hour winds, basically, gusting up to like 180 possibly. Hey, thank you, Elaine. Appreciate you. Now, one thing I will say, and I don't want to be, I'm not trying to sound rude, but to all of you that are members, if I make videos for you guys, you gotta watch them. I'm happy to make videos for you guys, especially since we have Melissa right now. But can't, if y'all aren't gonna watch the videos, what am I gonna do? What am I doing? You gotta watch them. Cause the last few videos I made, I think Africa's done, honestly. I think the main development region should be done. For the most part, there should be a lot of wind shear over that region. As we get towards the end of the season, it really starts to get difficult for anything to develop. I know that we're sneaking into that La Nina phase, so there's always that chance. But I would find it unlikely. But yeah, usually this is the problem. Oh, you do? Okay. Well, if you're watching them, then I will start making more again. Appreciate you, Elaine. So, whenever a big hurricane like Melissa comes in, what I'll try and do is I'll try and get a look at the cross section of that one for the members videos. Appreciate you. I don't know, maybe it's YouTube that's showing me I'm not having views or something. It was weird because they started dropping my views on one of my videos the other night. I was like, what's going on here? I actually ended up sending them a message asking about why that is. I think the number came back to what it was, but I was just like, hey, what's going on here? And it's not that I really care about numbers that much, but I was just like, hello? I mean, if I got bots on here, fine, so be it. It's nothing that I know about, but, you know, still, sheesh. At least let me know what's going on. But yeah, I guess over the next day or so, I'll probably make more videos. I'll make some members only videos, mainly talking about the cross sections of these hurricanes. Of this hurricane. And it's probably going to be the last one. But yeah, historically during this time of year, though, main development region, Africa, not much to really worry about. If we move it forward, there's just not really much in the way of opportunity. Wind shear remains pretty strong. So any low pressure that would have come off of there is just going to get torn apart before it even has a chance to grow. Oh, really? Well, at least it's not just me, but that does kind of suck. So, if I'm having that problem, so if everybody's having that problem, that's definitely something I would love for YouTube to work on. I know the algorithm also, that could be like part of it, but I don't know. There's still so much I have yet to learn about that. YouTube as of late has been really weird. And the thing is, as far and also to kind of compound what you were saying, stock also, the Gulf would be a factor right now, except the troughing that we're getting, the shear over the Gulf itself is going to be so strong to where nothing really gets formed. Always appreciate you, Elaine. Always appreciate you. So, I mean, I really think, if I'm being honest, Melissa might be the last big push. I hope though that doesn't age like milk, but I think that as far as the season, this might be the last big one for sure. I don't know if this will be the last one though. I sure hope it is though, because I like how this season's been relatively quiet. And if things do pick up, that's a big problem because then I have to focus on winter weather along with the tropics, which sounds awful. I appreciate that. That actually is a huge help. Like, it really is. It really is. Okay. You guys got more questions? I mean, keep them coming if you want. I can still answer a few more. Alright. Oh, there is one other thing I wanted to bring up. So, on the ensembles here, there has been some mention of maybe a sneaky little storm system coming into play off the coastline right around the time of Halloween. I've been seeing it on and off on the models for a bit, but I'm not sure. What? What are you doing? Like, why are you calling? Okay, I think that must have been an accidental call. It's like, what is this? Why is my phone going off? Okay, so I'm looking at Dominican Republic. Let me go back and look at that. They're still due for a good bit. It depends on which part you're talking about. There could be pockets where we could get up to about maybe 20 inches, but that's really going to be towards the western half of the country. If you're the further out to the east you are, the less rain you're going to get. It'll probably be isolated pockets where we could get maybe 3 to 5, but mostly going to be 1 to 2 inches. Closer you are to that center, obviously, the worse it gets. Eastern, yeah, somewhere between I would say 1 to 4 inches. I would really say 1 to 3. So it shouldn't be too bad over there, but it's gonna be nasty over there the next few days. No problem. No problem. I heard that we are going to get a lot of snow this winter. Is that true? Well, it depends on where you are. I have seen a few analogs that have really intrigued me with it. I would say that there are a few analogs that kind of remind me of the middle to late part of winter in 2014, which could even include, which if that analog were to come to fruition, maybe that would be something for the South, but at this point, it's too early to tell. There are signs that do point towards the potential being there, though. But obviously, I'm not one that's going to jump on that bandwagon when it's 2 to 3 months out. It's just, That's just a little bit too brazen for me. Just a little too brazen for me. But definitely would pay attention to the winter no matter where you are, unless you're in Florida, or at least in regards to snowfall. But I have been keeping a very close eye on that. Uh, Not in the short term. To get an ice storm is kind of complex. You gotta have a layer, a shallow layer of warm air mixing in with the cold air, and we just don't have a big enough of a push of cold air quite yet to get there. And then you still have to have that moisture meet up with it too. Because the interesting thing about those kinds of storm systems is the fact that typically, as it gets colder, the air mass gets drier. So basically, what'll happen a lot of the time is the moisture will outrun the cold air. Now, you get a low pressure that's strong enough, that's when you start introducing that possibility. But right now, though, like if we were to look at this on the GFS, for example, over the next 16 days, I haven't seen anything that even comes close to bringing in anything of significance. Like, for example, let me pause that. Let me go back. This line right here, if you see, it might be a little hard to see, but this line right here in the blue, this is a 540 line, which is actually really the 32-degree line. So this is your freezing point right here, or your freezing line here. Notice in the situations that we've been seeing, there's no moisture behind it. So I would say, at least in the short term, we don't have anything to worry about. It's going to get colder here, don't worry. But I wouldn't expect anything in the way of wintry precip for a while, anywhere over towards the Ozarks or towards the deep south. The best chance that I've seen is 282 hours out, and that's towards the northern half of the Appalachia. And then, obviously, once we get further out, this is towards maybe the 7th or the 8th next month. That's something that's a little bit more interesting, a little bit more substantial there, but even so, nothing that would lead me to be intrigued as of right now. So, at least in the short term, I would say no. Maybe towards December, we might have to revisit that. And I just trim my facial hair, and it's super itchy. I didn't even fully shave it. It's still itchy. Wow. So if you see me scratching like this, it's not that there's an issue, but my skin does not seem to be too happy with me. No problem. I'm happy to teach people about the weather. Because one thing about it is, a lot of people talk about the whole cloud seeding type of thing, and the thing I wish people would understand about that is, cloud seeding is real, but it's not what creates severe weather. Because in order to be able to manipulate the atmosphere to such a degree where it does something like that, you should have seen it before I trimmed it today. Like, it was a nightmare. Like, it was super thick all on the bottom and the sides, patchy. It's a mess. So kind of went for the small stubble shadow mix kind of deal. But what I was saying though was, you can cloud seed to create weather, but to do it on a scale where you can form severe weather, you would have to be able to have access to the same kind of amount of energy that would produce basically almost 100 nuclear weapons. Like, Mother Nature is extremely powerful. So to just willy-nilly and just put up So these folks that are out here just saying that we're manipulating the weather to this degree is insane. Like to say, oh, we're cloud seeding with Melissa. No. Melissa formed because the Caribbean is basically bathwater. If you have 90 degrees sea surface temperatures and light wind shear, that's what's gonna happen. That's just the truth. That's why I always scratch my head when people say stuff like that. And unfortunately, a lot of people do it for clicks and likes, man. I mean, obviously, if I did it, I'd probably have a much bigger following, but I'd rather tell the truth. That's just me. I can care less about clout. There is one thing I do wonder, because my birthday is actually on the 8th, and I'm wondering if there might be a chance that I end up live streaming because of a coastal storm like this. Obviously, this is 336 hours out, by the way. But I don't really like to lean into the long range too much like this. Let me see what the Euro looks like. Maybe I'll do that. And then we'll kind of go on from there. Okay. We're going to have to go all the way back to the lunchtime models. Let's see what we get. Okay. Oh, too fast. And survey says it doesn't match at all. Okay. Good to know there. Uh-oh. And there goes my frames. Well, my computer's angry with me clearly, guys. So, I'm probably going to end the stream and then try to see if I can finagle with my Ethernet and my Wi-Fi here. So that way my computer doesn't completely kick me out of streams in the future. This happens every once in a while. I think I know what might have caused it, but I'm going to go ahead and let her rest a little bit because I also use this computer to work on music. We'll do some stuff of it. We'll do some stuff on the music side maybe some point. I don't know exactly when, but we'll get there. In case anyone can't see the stream, appreciate you all again being here. We'll probably, well, depending on what happens in Jamaica, we'll probably do some live coverage. We'll do something sometime this week. We'll see how it goes. But everybody take care and have a wonderful rest of your night. Good night, Elaine. Good night, Renita. And whoever else might be in chat lurking. Appreciate you all again being here. We'll probably, well, depending on what happens in Jamaica, we'll probably do some live coverage. We'll do something